talk about a pivot. This is the first solo album from Sting, Blue Dream of the Blue Turtles.
Mhm.
This is the first of two songs that K-Rock has on this list. It's Love is the Seventh Wave. This is not a Police song. This is is it jazz? It's adult. Again, we're moving. 1985 is the year that alt rock is growing up and they're starting to play to an older crowd.
So what did LAR feel about this at the time?
Oh, we love the song. I mean, so this was, as to your point, right? It was Sting's first solo album. It was the second single off the album. And no, it wasn't the Police, but there is a reference to the Police at the end of the song. When the song's fading, you hear him say, every breath you take, every move you make, right? So there's a reference to a Police song right there at the end of the song. And isn't it interesting that here now, this was the beginning of the catalog for Sting, and now Sting has sold his catalog to Universal for over $250 million. And it all started right here on the second song, on the second single from the album, Love is the Seventh Wave, which I had to look up the definition of seventh wave. So did you know seventh wave is the highest swell of the sea? So when you have swells and waves, the highest one you can possibly have is the seventh wave. It's the highest swell at sea, which I thought that's probably the pinnacle of love, right? Where the peak of love could possibly be.
Look at that. Look at you doing your research and
Hey.
explaining the song. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, that
But the
makes
video
this-
had nice animation to it too. You notice the animation with Sting in
Yeah.
it, and you know, it was a little silly. I thought, but it was Sting, and it's interesting too. I interviewed Sting. I remember in the solo period in 1990. In fact, Sting was up in the SiriusXM studios, and I had a picture of it on my iPad. I was backstage. He just got over the flu, and you see he's drinking tea. And I'm interviewing him live on the air. And one of my DJs, fellow DJs, Matt Cord, is actually doing like the recording of it while I'm on the air live with Sting. I show it to Sting, goes, Larry, I remember that night. And the reason I remember that night at the Nassau Coliseum is that's the first time I ever met Billy Joel. He said, Billy Joel came backstage to meet me. So he actually remembered, you know, the interview and that night. So, and it's interesting too. I wasn't going to mention this, but a good friend of mine, I went to St. John's.
Is Billy Joel like the king of Long Island? Does he like rule over that land?
Yes.
That's how I imagine.
Yes, he does.
Okay. All right. I gotcha.
Wait, go back to that story. What were you going to say?
Yeah, sorry to interrupt.
No. So I went to St. John's University, and my friend Kathy married Kim Turner. Kim Turner was one of the three managers of the Police. It was actually Ian Copeland, Miles Copeland, and Kim Turner. Kim's a guy. And of course, I'm invited to the wedding. And Sting was doing his first movie, he was not there. It's the only time in my life I saw someone have two best men. So Kim had both Andy and Stuart as best men at the wedding. And I remember it was at the Mildridge Cottage in Hicksville, New York. I remember that they had a band that they hired. When the band took a break, I remember seeing Stuart go to the drums, Andy went to the guitar, and Ian Copeland took the bass, and they started doing Beatles covers, to which the entire kitchen staff came out and was like, holy shit. It's 2/3 of the Police, you know? So, but Sting is a really nice down to earth guy, but isn't it interesting? It all started with Love is the Seventh Wave. Now the entire catalog has been sold to Universal for over $250 million.